Greetings and welcome to another Alpha Magnus review. Today we've got this. This is the TOYMAKR3D, what was this one called? Stealth Blade, I believe. It is their homage to Gigan from the old Godzilla series. This one actually was a bit more of a pain than usual. Very few parts, use a lot less than the last couple of these that I've done, but there are some glaring issues that I will go over. First off, he is wonderful. It does come with these. This was a pain, but you had to run armature wire through here to get it to work. I had some sitting around, so luckily you can get that at like Dollar Tree, by the way, if anyone needs any. But each one of these little segments is a different piece, so that was a bit of a pain. But you can pretty much do whatever you want with these and whatnot. They lock on here, so we'll take these off because they are a bit cumbersome to mess around with when you're just trying to do some stuff. So there's that. And then these go right on here. I don't believe these are left or right, so it shouldn't matter. They just kind of twist on like so. Pretty good. Pretty cool. Pretty nice. And voila. So the good, it's an amazing thing. The bad is that it is, I made this color scheme up. He only has it as a black, red, and a couple other colors. You can check it out on his website. I'll try to link that if I can remember to. But I ended up saying, no, I want this to be old school Gigan colors. So I went through and did all of this. These are all segmented, so you can pose those around as you want. That's wonderful. This doesn't move, but does look pretty cool. You can put the what do you call them, the blast effects or whatever in each one of these. A couple of parts are a little wonky with the colors, so like this is cool, but this didn't have anything to plug it into, so it does look a little bit off. Mind you, that's because I did different colors than he originally implied, and that is where the problems lie, really. So I did this basic Gigan colors, green with gold here for scale parts, and then silver for this and here. This I have to recolor. His head is not the correct color. It does have articulation there. As with most of these, their heads don't usually stay up, so I got to paint it. I'll tell you, paint the ball, not the ball, but the joint with his liquid tape. Let it sit for a couple hours. It's perfect. Usually that works. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to take this apart, and I'm going to have to, I think what I'm going to do is print it in this red and then just paint it silver. It's one of the parts that probably should have been two different colors, in my opinion. But it looks fine for now. I do want this bottom chin to be silver as well, though. One of the few things that I did not work out when it came to switching all the colors around. And it's a pain. So, as with all of these TOYMAKR3D ones, they use this system of, you twist that and then now it's locked. And then you could give it a little bit less and it can move around on its own. So you do kind of have to get that. But there are certain parts like right here, that's straight friction. There's no way to tighten that. You can tighten the shoulder, but this part, so when you go to hang something up like this, sometimes he falls, sometimes he doesn't. A little bit frustrating. The other real frustrating one, and I'm just going to glue this, is this foot. There's no point in having this foot bend. All that it does is makes him fall over a lot. So I'm just going to glue that down. Probably not worry about it after that. But the rest of the figures is awesome. I will say, I get asked a lot if I'll print these out for people, and like I'm gonna just tell you, there's like AliExpress and stuff. I would prefer it if you went to this guy and purchased a license from him, and then from there have somebody else print it out for you. That's the most ethical way to do it. But the problem is even this, I'd probably have to charge $200, $300 for, and I have found them on AliExpress. Mind you, they're probably tiny, so watch that, because I have had that where I've looked, and the same figure that I was going to get, I was going to print myself. They had it on there for like $7, and then when you look at it, it's like 2 centimeters tall. So someone's just pulling a fast one on you. Didn't realize that was there. It is a wonderful, wonderful design. These don't move, which was just one bummer. I would have liked it if these had moved a little bit. And then, as I said, the heads are always loose, which that can be fixed. That's nothing. It's nothing terrible. But aside from that, yeah, see, even this design is okay, but it does not beat a, you know, having actual ball joints or something on there. But ball joints are really hard to 3D print. So the only way I could think around that is if he came up with a ball joint system that just allowed you to pop the ball joints in and you just buy a whole bunch of ball joints or specific sized things. Instead of 3D printing those, get those maybe, I don't know, you could probably source them from somewhere, but then you're leaning into having to pay more money for it. And I think his files are typically around $20, so not terribly priced. So you could just, I bought a whole bunch of them at once when he had a sale, and I was on his Patreon, so I ended up getting a bonus on top of that. So really, really like this figure. But it is kind of simple compared to the other ones. A lot of the other ones have more swappable parts. He does have the somewhat swappable thing there, but this part being like that kind of did bother me a lot. So I am going to have to fix that. These don't move. These are kind of locked to whatever piece is underneath it. Yeah. It's okay. I will say, if you are going to do one and pick one to start with, this is the guy to start with. That is, maybe not these. These are a little more high tech. But the regular pieces, if you just want to print it out in the colors that he recommends, that is going to save you a lot of heartache. King Kong is also a real good one to start with. But like the Godzilla and Gamera that everyone wants to start with are very difficult. I started with them, and I kind of wish that I hadn't, because now I've learned a lot of things about these when it comes to tolerances. And like one of the big things is printing these parts with like 3 or 4 layers on the outside really strengthens them up versus only doing like the 2 that's recommended in the slicer settings. If you do 3 or 4, depending on the part, you're good. And then making sure that certain parts have higher infill settings also prevents you from having problems. The main one is like ball joints and stuff. They recommend it. They have recommended settings in the PDF they send you. But if you don't do those, you are going to have a bad time. But this is the Gigan. As I said, the Stealth Blade is his name. From TOYMAKR3D. Let's pop these back off. I do like these, but I also feel like I would like it if he came out with some more. I can't remember this, Monster X or whatever it was called from Final War, Godzilla Final War. That had 2 chainsaws, and I would like to see those chainsaws on here. So I'm hoping that he comes out with some more. He does do updates every once in a while, but hasn't done a lot of updates recently. So I think he's got a Sentinel coming from X-Men. I need to get the Galactus. He's already got. But it's a 3D printed figure, so you do have to keep that in mind. This is not meant for like kids to play with. It is strictly an adult collectible kind of deal on that. So you definitely don't want to be like, here, son, play with this, because in 4 minutes, this will be dust. It is not meant for kids. It's almost, honestly, they're almost just display pieces. So at a certain point, you gotta make that decision of you know, what you want this to kind of be in for a while. Man, this arm is giving me some problems. No matter how tight I get that, it just doesn't want to stay still. A little bit annoying with these. But then every time I do that, maybe I'll just give it an extra twist. A little bit harder. That's it. This is the Stealth Blade from TOYMAKR3D.